Playing Brotherhood is not affiliated or in any way whatsoever associated with Planned Parenthood, bitches. Planned Parenthood is a registered trademark of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, Incorporated. Planned Brotherhood, on the other hand, is so much cooler.
It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. The sun would shine, the candy bars, Kool-Aid flowing like wine. The comic books, the TV shows, the bubble gum, the kitty cat.
We tried boxer briefs. Let's. Were you that disgusted by my question? It was weird, brother to brother, to ask that, I guess. I'm just curious.
I have exclusively worn boxer briefs for
No
the
way.
last, I'm going to say, 5 years.
Turns out I know so little about you.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, but what is it about them? I think they make my package look a little cooler.
Yeah,
But I as far as comfort goes, I just switched, I should say. And I didn't entirely switch. I bought boxers and boxer briefs, just like a 3-pack to try them out. So I wear them 3 days a week.
Boxers aren't that cool to wear around because the fly is always like open
Ajar,
or whatever.
yeah.
So like it's not like you can walk around and not have your junk showing, and you can do that with boxer briefs. And they're better than briefs. I mean, that just looks ridiculous to walk around in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, I love everything. I love how far. I mean, they come down the thigh the perfect amount. And
Right.
I like it
Insecurity
if they're
issues.
tied around the thigh. If they get a little stretched out and are loose around the thigh, I don't wear them anymore. They feel too much like boxer shorts.
Yeah, and then they're just gross, saggy boxers.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought that up is because it's the closest I've worn to briefs in a long time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. It's flashbacks to, like, 6th grade. I don't know that I've ever talked about this, but the first day of 6th grade, like, was hugely terrifying for me.
Yeah.
And, I'm in middle school now. And so it was the first time that I had a change in front of other kids. And it wasn't... At least, I don't know if this is a middle school thing or a Baker Middle School in Tacoma being a gross middle school thing, but they didn't require kids to shower.
Uh-huh.
But we still had
I think
to...
that's a middle school thing.
Okay. We still had to change in and out of our gym clothes, though. So,
In fact, I don't remember there being an option to shower. I know there were showers there, but I think that was for when they had, like, games there. Like a track meet or a football game or something like that.
I wasn't allowed extracurricular activities.
I was on track.
I know, but you weren't supposed to be, PJ.
But like, were there kids in your gym class who did shower?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean those showers were not even
stagnant.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
This conversation, I mean. So the first day, I don't know any better. Like 6th grade, I remember literally crying because I couldn't find the gym after the first bell rang.
Yeah.
Crying. Even though I had a map. I'm not good with maps. That's been true since 6th grade, apparently. But, so then I get there, and
Plus, it's not really anything to cry about.
It's really not. Oh, was that a joke?
No, I'm serious.
I thought you were quoting a song that I didn't know for a second. It was my birthday party, so I cried because I wanted to. But no,
right.
So
Johnny's come back to me. Now it's Judy's turn to cry.
How old are we quoting these oldies? We couldn't name the songs or the bands, though.
You're going to be in trouble. You know why?
Why is that?
My boyfriend's back.
So, yeah, I just remember, like, having to change in front of these guys, and it doesn't occur to me until my pants are already down that, holy shit, I'm in middle school now, and I'm wearing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle underoos.
Really?
Yep.
I don't remember what underwear I was wearing in middle school.
Well, that was the first day of middle school, and I demanded that we get some regular briefs for me after that because I got pointed at and made fun of on my first day of middle school.
Yeah.
In the guys' locker room, it was fucking
Yeah.
humiliating.
How are those other kids on the first day so confident? That's what I want to know.
They were all bullies.
Yeah,
Everybody in that
really
school
were.
except for me was a bully. That includes the teachers, the janitor.
Yeah, the fucking gym teachers.
Oh God, them especially. But so I haven't worn briefs since that time as a middle schooler. Probably I don't remember when I discovered boxers, but the boxer briefs bring me back to the briefs, just the way they feel and kind of look sometimes. And so the other morning I woke up at like 5 a.m. to go pee, just wearing my boxers because I'd forgotten to turn my heat off. And when I woke up at 4 stirring, sweating, rather than turning the heat off, which is costing me money by the second, I just tear off all my clothes except for my boxers and lay on top of my comforter.
Yeah.
While it's 20 degrees outside. And then so I get up to go pee at like 5, just the boxer briefs, and I fart on the way. And I don't like to talk about things like this very often.
Yeah, I know. I was so embarrassed yesterday when I farted in front of you guys.
But that was, you provided a setup. You asked Sophie, your daughter, to pull your finger.
But
And
I
then
didn't know it'd
then
be
you're
so
embarrassed?
I didn't know it'd be so loud and disruptive.
I don't think I've ever pulled the pull my finger gag because I can't fart on command.
Well, I mean, if you feel one coming on, are they all uncontrollable? Like they just sneak out at you?
No,
Or you
I guess
feel
you're
it coming
right.
on?
Yeah. It's like harnessing your chi. But, it's just me at 5 a.m. in my boxer briefs and my skin tag hanging off my back. So I go, I fart all the way to the bathroom.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ, are we
Whoa.
still recording?
Yeah.
Do we know how it sounds?
Yeah, no, we're still recording.
Okay. Picture me in my underwear.
I'm going to unwrap this cord from around my arm. Apparently that's not doing us too well.
As I'm farting and peeing with the door open.
Oh, is that where we were?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking like that. This is the moment in my adult life that occurs to me that I'm basically dad, except for fortunately I don't have a too old son walking by as you're pissing with your cock in your hand.
Yeah. You know, I feel that a lot. When it's
That you're
the
turning
morning,
into dad?
When it's the morning and...
You don't walk through the living room stark naked, I should hope.
No,
like Dad
never
used to.
stark naked. Sophie does not see my balls at all. But
Just your cock then?
a lot, nor my cock. A lot of me in my boxer briefs, though.
That's fine.
A lot of that, a lot of farting.
Dad, to get gross, and let's stop saying farting at least. But Dad, traditional whitey tighties our whole growing up. And they weren't that way by the end of it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So to see that on traipsing through the living room
Yeah.
as I'm trying to watch GoBots,
Which
that's
poses the question, why not buy blue underwear or black or something like that? They can
don't-
still be briefs.
I don't know. There's an amazing piece of home video footage. Classic.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think you do too. But we've explained before, because we were Jehovah's Witnesses and our parents apparently wanted to give us something. And it started with Dad's immediate family
yeah.
when he was a kid. So to compensate for not celebrating Christmas or birthdays, on Mom and Dad's anniversary,
Wedding anniversary.
April 25th of every year, it was basically Christmas for us. They cared more in the beginning, and like they would fully wrap our presents, and we'd have a shit ton of stuff, just dumb trinkets, but like shit we really cared about as kids.
The yo-yo ball.
Right. God, I loved your yo-yo ball. I don't think I ever got one.
Yeah.
But there's this piece of footage probably from 1988. So imagine that video camera.
Yeah.
That behemoth of a recorder.
I'll say it's a little later. I was probably 7 or 8, so maybe 89 or 90.
Okay. In either case, like, it's so painful to watch because our parents are so unattractive.
And so unhappy.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
just tell.
But we're forcing it because it's our special day and we're on camera. And Mom's behind the camera at this particular moment, and we're giving our presents to Dad. And I think the thing I got him was a T-shirt that said something about either golfing is awesome or mowing the lawn is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think it was like a guy who's being chased by his lawnmower or something like that.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And you pulled out all the stops and got a more expensive present, both which came from Dad's credit card, I'm sure. But you got him a bathrobe, and he had this old gross bathrobe that he'd worn for years prior to that, and
occasionally wore. Like, I don't know how it wore out so bad. Usually he was just naked.
Yeah. But when you handed Dad the present, he's like, "Oh, thank you," and you're like, "Yeah, your other one has fart stains all over it." And then Mom gets super insecure and mad about it, the same way she always would when the waitress came by and we were talking at all.
At all. The two most important words. Yeah, I remember that. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Our minds are so alike sometimes. It's kind of a weird brother dynamic.
Yeah, you hear about the twins that can sense that the other's in danger.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been at a party and like, holy God, PJ's had a heart attack. But
I've never had a heart attack, so who knows? If
yeah,
that
that's
happens,
true. That's true.
You might feel that way.
Unsolved Mysteries is a new thing with Dennis Farina again now, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to do a talking head on that about our twin psyches. But we're almost
the
there.
non-twin twins.
I never send you a text as you're sending me the same idea out of nowhere, which I think is where the twin thing comes in. It's just that when we're together and get on a tear about something, our brains usually go to the same place.
Yeah, like we remember things that happened 20 years ago, and we've never talked about it once since it happened, but we both remember it.
That's why, despite our occasional boredom, we got to keep the show going.
Yeah,
because occasionally Jim's will come out.
Yeah. Do you mean Jim? I can't remember his name. Who was that cool Jehovah's Witness Jim guy?
Dad's best friend?
Yeah, he got married.
Oh, yeah, Jim Long.
Jim Long.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you meant, was Jim Long going to be a guest on the show? Get some Jims out. Or my boss, Jim.
No, we're going to get Dad coming up, everybody. We're going to get my
B.
dad, Terry B., and Jim Long, his best friends.
They'll all get on their oversized motorcycles.
That was the best camping trip of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
You ate marshmallows till you dropped.
That's true. And I used to like when Dad studied the Bible with Jim, because sometimes he'd come over and he'd be like, "Hey, instead of studying, you want to play Nintendo?" Because we had a Nintendo. Which also begs
Jim would say that, or Dad would propose that?
No. Dad wouldn't propose something like that. No way. Dad was a follower.
Yeah.
Follower big time.
That's why he makes a good Christian, right?
Well, he made a terrible Christian. But he probably would have made a good other kind of Christian where you're allowed to just bone all the time. He actually probably would have made a good dad if it had come to that, you know?
Yeah.
He would have been taught. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, as far as the Nintendo thing goes, like, we always kind of had...
I think your daughter's yelling at you.
She's all right. We always kind of had those bigger things when growing up. Like, there was always some excuse, like, we got a big screen TV when those were really popular. It was because you and I do you remember the story of how we got that big screen TV?
No, it had something to do with
you
us
and
being
I,
cute in front of the salesman?
No, us
Not
being
at all.
bad in front of a salesman. You and I were like touching a screen or something, and the salesman came up and asked us to stop, and then started pitching the TV to Mom and Dad. And after that, they couldn't say no because we had touched the screen.
And Mom and Dad are really bad about saying no, which explains that
they're
terrible
suckers.
timeshare decision they made.
But you know, like for the TV, like they were like, "Oh, it's you guys. You're the one that got the salesman talking to us." You're at a fucking Sears. Like the salesmen are going to talk. You're at a Sears in like the early '90s when credit is this huge thing.
And that guy had a huge tie.
Yeah. But like we had a video camera when they were super expensive. Mom must have spent over $1,000 on that thing.
Yeah, and that
she
thing
bought
was
it for Dad as
humongous.
like a big surprise.
Yeah,
which was really a great surprise. Dad loved it, got a ton of use out of it. But I remember him for years would like talk about like how much money Mom wasted on that thing, especially when like much later on, when it was super obsolete already in the late 90s, like when we were still all living together, it was always like, "Oh, she spent like $1,800 on this thing." Well, it was a nice gift for you, faggot.
Took a dark turn there.
Yeah. I had to, I realized the well of boredom I was falling down. I had to grab the wall and slow it down a little.
So you pulled out your faggot hatchet.
Faggot. I'm calling my dad a faggot. It's like those dreams that I have when I'm punching him in the face. Man, I have those dreams. I woke up punching the other day.
Oh,
Not
yeah?
lying.
No kidding?
Not lying. I was punching Dad in a dream. woke up, like it was a half.
You woke up and you were actually punching your wife in her sleep.
I woke up and I had punched the bed once, and it was in direct relation to the dream. I woke up from the dream right when I was about to punch Dad. Like I woke up and I just punched the mattress, and then like I knew I was awake, but I was still super confused. But I was worried that my wife was in bed, so then I punched the wall twice, and she was scared. She was a little scared.
I don't imagine she handled that well, and why would she have?
No, I mean, she didn't handle it badly, but she was like, wake up. And I was like, I'm awake. I had to explain to her, like, it was a dream, but I punched the wall because I was mad at the dream and stuff like that.
And do you remember the dream, or is it that fog that gets away from you immediately?
I remember it pretty well. I don't want to get super into it.
Because nobody cares.
And here's why. It had to do with the end of the world. The world was ending.
I care a lot more now.
You and I were dodging a huge tidal wave.
At our age.
Yeah,
currently.
and in my dream, I felt like your protector. I was like, I'm going to protect Nick. We were
I will say when the apocalypse hits, you're my protector, please.
And this is great, and this is not a lie. It's going to sound so made up, but in this dream, end of the world, huge tidal waves coming. Realized later after I woke up, because I've had these kind of dreams before, and when I've had them in the last few years, it's always Armageddon, which is taught in the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I was wrong. Here it is.
Yeah.
And I'm fucked now. But this is the first dream I had where I didn't think that in my dream. I realized later. But yeah, you and I were in my Jeep, and we knew it was coming. And
where's your wife and kid?
I don't know. In this dream, it didn't matter. It was about me and you.
Okay.
And I was like,
I'm flattered.
We got to go get our cigarettes. I swear to God, we're gonna go
that
back.
That does sound made up. This sounds like a screenplay.
No, I swear. We're gonna go back and get cigarettes, and we're going for cigarettes. And then like a big wave come, and I pushed you in. This is when I felt like your hero, like to a doorway. And somewhere along the way, well, I guess right at the very end, because this is right when I woke up, Dad came along, and he was with Uncle Barry, and they were just fucking us over somehow. And
you punched him.
I woke up right before I could punch him. I was so mad that I couldn't punch him that's why I punched the wall.
It's like waking up in the middle of a sex dream before anything good happens.
I know, God. How often does that happen?
Not to me since I was a teenager, really.
Every other day? Not true. Once a month.
I have similar anxiety dreams, like about family too. Like it occurred to me today. When we were at the restaurant. Oh no, it was when I was walking to get your wife a fucking newspaper. But that counts as her Christmas and birthday present. You
Don't
have to tell
actually
her.
put out you wanted a cigarette so
Yeah,
badly.
I did. So anyway, I'm just walking, and then a dream that I had last night occurred to me. And we had been talking about prior, like right when I got here, how our Uncle Russ in particular, I'm kind of terrified to run into. Because I'm telling Kelly, who came with us to Yakima with me to Yakima this time, where we're recording now, that I always worry in Yakima about running into somebody that's gonna, totally kill my buzz, like a family member that's
all they
or,
can do, but that's a really big thing. And I understand that.
But it never happens. Like I come here all the time, and it never happens. Mm-hmm. But last night I had a dream that literally it was a dream that we came in to see you at the Olive Garden.
That's fine.
Where you
bashed it yet today.
Yeah. We came in to see you at work while you were bartending, and I ran into Uncle Russ, and it was really uncomfortable. And that was the dream. So your dreams are so much more
but I
Roland
have those,
Emmerich than mine.
I have those dreams a lot.
I'm just saying my dreams seem scary and important, but yours seem scary and important.
Well, no, I don't think they're as important as you think. I think it's like I was watching the movie 2012.
You fell asleep, didn't you?
I was getting high, and in the middle of it, I had some panic attack about something I said to Dad once, and then I go to bed because I'm so scared, and then something like that happens. Like, I don't think... I used to think those end-of-the-world dreams were important because I was like,
That means I was wrong about
right.
Armageddon and Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, and, I used to wake up in a panic when I was 20, and I was living with those guys from the Outback. I was 20, but emotionally, like, 17 maybe.
Sure.
And I was living with those guys who I worked with, and I would wake up from one of those dreams and just be panicked and be like, I'm going to start going back to meetings. I'm going to start going back to meetings 3 times a week. I'm going to call Uncle Russ tomorrow. I'm going to tell him everything I've done.
Which was what by that point? Just drinking a lot, right?
Just drinking and masturbating and other stupid shit that you shouldn't feel guilty for.
Drinking
and
sometimes.
Living
It depends
with
on your
worldly
situation.
people, cursing a lot, stuff like that. And by the way, I'm not even baptized this whole time. Like, in that fucked up hypocrisy, I'm not even doing anything wrong.
No.
But I'm still feeling guilty about
You're
it.
getting
just
off
because,
on a technicality,
yeah,
really.
I have always had a super guilty conscience.
Right. Your heart is invested in
Yeah.
this religion, whether you want it or not.
And the biggest reason I say fuck you to all of that is because I don't feel like that'll ever go away. That
Really?
just guilty conscience. I just have a guilty conscience.
About things specific to Jehovah's Witnesses rules?
No. I don't feel guilty about cursing or anything like that. I'm just talking about in general. I mean, and a lot of it's anxiety. And I know that I've had it since I was a little kid. I would always say that I felt guilty, but I can look back now and be like, there's nothing to feel guilty about. It was just anxiety. And I guess in that sense, you can't blame the religion. That's more of a, you can blame mom's side of the family, which is insane, and just get on some medication, which, you know, maybe. What if we got a medication and we're like, you want to do a podcast this week? No, there's no reason to. I feel fine. Let's just let it go. What are we doing? Yeah. Let's just let it go. We can't seek help.
I've got a friend that just recently started going to therapy, and we were talking about this a little bit, me and you. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, I think about, I've never done it, obviously, and I'm more curious than ever now because, as I said, the podcast is fairly therapeutic, and I think that's why we continue to post them. Like, even on the weeks that we're just talking about our balls and the Monster Squad, like, I'm still getting a release of some kind by doing this. I can't explain. And then on the real intense weeks when our stepmom's threatening to sue us or whatever else is going on in our
That's when it
lives,
gets
then
exciting.
Yeah, but I'd like a professional take on that, maybe.
Yeah.
My main concern is I constantly lie on a day-to-day basis. I lie, mostly lies that are inconsequential. Like, why am I lying anyway? Because I'm just gonna get caught in it and then have to explain. Oh, I don't know why I did that. And so
do you lie to me a lot? Like, just little
I don't lie to
inconsequential
you.
lies?
I don't lie to you. I omit things sometimes with you, like just super embarrassing things about myself.
You don't tell me anything about this girl you were dating. I never heard a word. And I know there's a whole other can of worms, right?
No.
If only we had like 4 more hours.
No, I know. Nothing broke bad with that girl. We just kind of ended up fizzling
I know, but
out.
I'm saying that like throughout the course, anything that happened with that girl, I gotta imagine.
Oh, well, that's very specific to you, yeah. Like, because you've always been judgmental about girls I've dated.
Yeah, but is it also because like, but I'm curious, you know that I'm not gonna cock block you or anything like that. I guess, and you know what?
Never have you done that.
No, but it's super weird though. Like, I don't know, when you're dating a girl, I think you mean a lot more to me than you think you do.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
Like,
I'm gonna cry.
I know this is getting deep right now, but like you're the world to me, and you've had
buddy.
so many girlfriends who like, and this could be my fault somehow. Like, it could be the attitude I'm giving them, but like they just try to fuck me over with you.
Every one of them.
Storytelling.
Let's remember all their code names as we go along.
Swirly T.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she fucked me over with you. That was one of the worst times of our lives, you and me together.
It's true.
When you're going
but we
out,
hated each other anyway. This was when I was 18.
But she did not help it. She perpetuated it. Storytelling. I wasn't even invited to your wedding, which probably wouldn't have gone to. I was so angry myself. But
Storytelling
that just
was
goes
the
to show,
worst of the lot.
Storytelling. And then pincushion, not so much. I mean, I just didn't. I never.
You
talked
hung out
to
with her like
really.
twice, yeah.
And I never got into a row with her or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we were fine. I had my opinions.
I have
about
lots
her,
of
but-
friends that had major problems with her. If you had lived in the area, I'm sure
and
you would
that's
have.
what I think it is now. So like when you're seeing a girl from the internet super casually or whatever like that, that's probably why you don't bring him up to me, just because I'm not, because like you're hanging out with people every day who they're like, oh, are we hanging out tomorrow? No, I'm hanging out with this girl.
Right.
Or where did you go after we hung out last night? So it's not happening as I'm right there with you. So that could be why you're not bringing up.
Yeah, like what is there to say?
I'm interested when you're dating a girl.
I could tell you what our dates were like. It's like, oh yeah, we hung out and talked about this particular TV show, and then you know, that's all it is. And like you say,
Yeah, but
if we were next door neighbors in a wacky sitcom, of course you'd hear every
Or if
minute
we were
detail.
brothers, which
Well, we're not the brothers that like hang out and gab on the phone for 3 hours a night either.
we're not an episode of Parenthood. We're always going to each other with our problems. What can I do? Like, we're not used to asking each other for advice. Neither of us know anything about anything.
Sometimes I forget to tell you major things, like my roommate situation recently,
Yeah.
which I won't get into, but that was a cigarette break I was happy to have. Like, oh shit, PJ hasn't heard about this because he doesn't go to Shorty's with me every night.
What were we talking about right before it?
Underwear? Oh no, that's how we started this, if you
we were
believe it.
talking about your friend. I think you were talking about, but I can't remember what you were going to say.
How did therapy?
Therapy, yeah.
What about therapy?
Just about how we should go to therapy, I guess. I guess it was over. Without
my
his
whole
insurance,
hold on
I
real
could
quick.
go.
Now that you reminded us of where we were, I just wanted to say, if I haven't already, that my main concern with therapy is that because I'm such a liar, I feel like it would be really hard for me to open up, and I might not even realize that I'm lying until I get out of there. I'm like, hey, I should have spilled the beans. To
I asked last night, like, do you ever just like exaggerate or say something that's not true? Oh, sorry.
And referring to a gender at all.
We've only said it twice. So.
Okay.
But like, do you ever exaggerate or like just withhold something? And she was like, yeah. But she was like, yeah, once, but then I took it right back. Yeah. Because that would be hard for me, too.
Me, too.
Probably a month into it, I would get my shit together and be like, here's a list of things I lied about. What the hell's wrong with me? Why did I
let's make that a whole hour session.
Yeah.
Why do I lie?
It'll be like the podcast. Be like, I don't really know what to talk about. Here's a list I made of things I lied about. In fact, that should be our next episode. Things we've lied to each other about.
That is... We've struck gold.
I mean, I did it to you right outside when I was talking about I forgot to put the break in the episode that Tracy was on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
And I was like...
Anybody that noticed.
And I was like, oh, yeah. I just realized that last night, dude. I was listening at work. And then we talked for a second, and I was like, yeah, I actually realized it the day I posted it. And I wasn't going to bring it up. Right? It's just a lie.
There are some pretty big lies out there on my part. And they started in ways that were totally unnecessary.
Lies that are happening right now?
Probably.
Can you divulge any of them?
No, I would if I could think of any specifically. It's just such a part of me.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's hard to keep track.
I had something and then I totally spaced it.
It's embarrassing, like, if I think back and I'm like, that was such an obvious lie. Like, no one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe I won a rodeo when I was 12, no matter where I say I'm from.
No matter what accent I donned.
No, that was the thing. I was the city slicker that just entered one day. Just took a knack for it, and then I gave it up.
And my dad is Billy Crystal. Yeah, big time liar. Especially when I was a kid. Those are the ones I think I could probably remember quicker. Is when I was a kid and just dumb shit that I used to say.
Yeah. Well, there's tons of stuff from me. Like, have you seen that movie? Yeah, dude, I love that movie. Never seen it.
Yeah, I do. I do that.
Yeah.
Probably constantly. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, all the time. For me, too. And then they quote it to you, and then you go, yeah, then what's he say?
Let's quickly go through your brushes with greatness, the celebrities you've met in real life.
Jimmy Pardo.
And I'm using celebrity lately, and I'm glad you started with Jimmy Pardo.
Yeah, because that's using it like Jimmy Pardo with you. Yep. Where I was too afraid to ask for a picture, you did, and then I ran right in right before the flash came on.
Man, if you were more afraid than me, I wouldn't think this, but maybe you do like Jimmy Pardo more than me. I introduced you, motherfuck.
Yeah. Let's see. Same weekend. We'll start with the same weekend. Christian Finnegan had physical contact with due to tight spaces.
No, I'm talking full out, like, at least at high, too.
Okay. Then I guess
because then, yeah, all those comedian spottings in Portland, like, a bajillion people had that same story.
Yeah. There's Pardo, which I still stand by, thinking was a good move, was shaking his hand and letting him know that I really think he's great.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to let you know I'm a big fan. I really think you're great. And then I shut the fuck up, took the picture, and let him go.
Yeah.
I just
And
wanted
that's all he
him to
wants in
know.
the world.
Yeah,
That's all he wants.
Yeah, and I think that was a good meeting that he had. And I remember listening to like the couple of podcasts after that. And there was one time when he talked about Portland meeting some nice people on the street, and I was like, me and Nick are included in those.
Oh,
nice
I had that
people.
same thought, brother.
Yeah, that's us because we did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit earlier, and I think we talked about this on the podcast when we're standing directly next to Pat Francis, and you're going, "That's Pat Francis right next to us."
Yeah, I fucked that one up.
And that's a
And I almost fucked up the Scott Adsit thing too. Is that his name?
yeah, Scott Adsit. See, that's another like brush, but I didn't say hi to. So it's Jimmy Pardo, and then the time I served Kyle McLaughlin at the Yakima Olive
Lest
Garden.
we forget Ferrigno?
I didn't meet him. I didn't talk to him.
Oh, you didn't talk to him.
No.
You got an autograph though
Alvina
somehow.
did. Alvina, I was too scared.
How do you talk to a Ferigno?
Yeah.
Really loud?
And I didn't really know who he was. I was like somebody famous.
somebody that used to be famous because he was there for like an auto
I-
dealership thing, wasn't he?
Right. I recognized him as the Hulk. At that time, he was on the King of Queens, which I now know and love, but I didn't know that at the time.
And he wasn't he annoyed by people coming up to him, but then why did he wear the green makeup? That's what I don't understand.
yeah, I know. Well, see, she didn't even know he was a celebrity. She's like, "Hey, I like your purple pants. Can I get an autograph?" No, I mean, I knew it was somebody else was like, "That's Lou Ferrigno," and I recognized the name, and I was like, "That guy's from The Incredible Hulk."
I got one more. Nobody made him angry today.
And so Alvina went up, got his autograph for me. It said to PJ from Hulk, Lou Ferrigno.
Was Hulk
Terrible handwriting.
quotations around Hulk?
No,
Okay.
terrible. His handwriting was as bad as his speech. And he asked her. He signed it for her pretty happily, I guess, and then said, "Can you do me a favor? Just make sure no one else comes up and asks me for autographs or anything."
What?
Like that. Because he knew she worked there, and he was like, "I don't want to do this right now." So then, and then she told the boss, who then was like, "Hey, as far as employees go, nobody go over there," which is a good thing because when I served Kyle McLaughlin, all I said to him was, I recognized him. I knew he was in town. Right across from the street from my restaurant's the Capitol Theater.
What was he doing? He does like off-Broadway shit?
Henry V. It was like readings from Shakespeare.
Okay.
And I knew he was in town. And then so I'm working in the bar. There's two of us at this time. I'm the bar back. And I hear his voice before anything. He's got a very distinct voice. And I knew he was in town. And whenever they're in town, you think in the back of your head, oh, maybe they'll come in. Because it's right across the street.
Right. George Carlin never came in. You didn't get that story,
His
right?
people did.
Oh,
So did
yeah?
Brian Regan's people. A lot of people. Joan Jett came in.
Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't have recognized her.
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't at all, but she was there.
Do you even know Joan Jett's one song that everybody knows?
I Love Rock and Roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give you too little credit when it comes to obvious music trivia.
It was a shot in the dark. I could have said Love is a Battlefield.
Or a shot in the dark.
Anyway, I heard his voice, and I was like, I jumped on it. I was like, oh, I got him. I said I'm a really big fan.
That surprises me. Speaking of anxiety, that
Well,
you jumped on it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just super excited. I was like, hey, I'm a really big fan. And I remember at the time I had literally just randomly seen Blue Velvet for the first time ever.
It's a good movie.
2 weeks earlier. And I think I mentioned Blue Velvet to him. I was like, I love Blue Velvet. And then word gets around in a restaurant that somebody famous is sitting at the bar.
Desperate Housewives.
So this other waitress comes up and goes, who are you? What are you in? And I already asked him what he was. I was like, oh, hey, what are you doing in town? And he said Henry V. And I made some joke about not knowing if it was Henry V or Henry V.
Was that a joke or was that a God's honest truth?
It was a joke. Yeah, I mean, it was. I was rambling.
It was rooted in fact.
I was rambling a little to him, but she comes up and she's like, "Oh, what are you from?" And he lists his credits for her. He's like, "Oh, Desperate Housewives."
He pulls up the IMDb app.
Yeah, some like very humbly, very annoyed, and then fucking all the waitresses came up and stuff like that. I really felt like it broke bad. He gave me a pretty average tip, and all I could think was, I failed Kyle MacLachlan. I should have diverted these waitresses away from him.
And he probably doesn't get enough compliments on Dune. You know why? Because that's a pretty bad movie.
I complimented on Blue Velvet, though.
Yeah, that's pretty specific and pretty good.
I'm pretty sure I remember the words David Lynch coming out of my mouth really fast.
I had the opportunity to meet David Lynch. Well, no, participate in a Q&A.
Yeah, which I'm sure you wouldn't have participated in.
But if I did, what would be my first question?
I don't know. I don't know David Lynch well enough to come up with a good question. First question I would ask him would be about Straight Story with Richard Farnsworth. And I'm serious. Like, if I had to ask him a question, I'd be like, so, G-rated movie. What was that all about?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I never seen it.
You'd be pretty good at Q&As, dude.
I feel like I should see it before I ask that question.
Oh, this is almost a celebrity encounter, keeping with this. When we saw, I don't remember how I came about this, but you came out to Seattle before I even lived there, I want to say, or maybe right when I moved there. And it was when Hot Fuzz, before it had come out, and there was a screening of it that Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright were attending. With it was a double feature. Bullet, Steve McQueen came on first.
Yeah, which I'd never seen.
Me neither. And
I
haven't seen it
once
since.
on the big screen. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty. The car chase is amazing.
Entertaining movie.
I hate to call out another podcast, but Mike from Kissing Contest, which people should listen to. Yeah. And we never do this, so that's how you know it's legit. Yeah. He objected. He said the car chase scene was boring in Bullet. Go back to it. And not on YouTube. Watch it on the big screen like we did before you make a judgment, asshole.
Yeah, but how easy is it for him to see it on the big screen? Think about us. We're drunk. We're high. We're seeing it for the first time ever on a big screen, and I was sitting directly across the aisle from Edgar Wright, and I saw Nick Frost in the bathroom, and that's his name, right?
Yeah, you got it. You thought it was Simon Frost for a minute, didn't you?
It was a great night. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was fun.
We saw Bullet under the optimal.
See, we bonded even before we started the podcast. I almost forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
I feel like we never saw each other. I know. I've got another one.
Monsters of Podcasting.
Sure.
You have Jason Big. Oh, I just spoiled it.
Oh, no, I forgot about that one. Thanks for reminding me. But I'll get to because I'm talking about another almost encounter because that's as good as we can pull, apparently. I saw Jim Gaffigan back when I still thought he was funny, so probably like 4 or 5 years ago. But he was huge at this point. Yeah. Oh, I was dating Storytelling. I think I may have seen it with her. It was in Portland, I remember. And after the show, it was a total nerd fest in there, dude. He people brought Hot Pocket boxes because of his big Hot Pockets bit.
Barry, I don't know the Hot Pockets bit, but Barry would talk about it constantly.
Yeah. It's his most famous bit. It's like yelling Freebird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I was going to give a Steve Martin
example. It's
funny
that I've never heard the joke, but I'm very familiar with the Hot Pockets.
It's not a joke.
Concept.
Like, it's a whole 4-minute piece on why Hot Pockets are gross, but he still likes them.
Yeah.
As is 90% of his comedy about that exact thing. But so, like, it's a thing, and, like, people are cheering for it, which I think is weird. Like, I know a lot of, even comedians I respect will return to a bit when they're doing a live show. I don't expect everybody to be totally
but to cheer on a bit
like it's a song.
Weird.
Like it's a song. That's different because it's, they've stopped caring at this
that's
point.
A good point. That's even
the
like
one
a
they
comedy
despise the most.
That's like listening to the Hanukkah song. Or
that's a good
like
example.
That,
But anyway, so I just remember not even wanting to attempt to try and get his autograph or say a good show because of all the Hot Pockets box wielding assholes in line.
Yeah.
Let's jump right to Jason Biggs.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my most recent celebrity encounters, and it doesn't happen as often as you might think in Seattle. I follow Sasha Grey on Twitter. I keep waiting for her to say, "Hey, I'm in Seattle this week," so that I can stalk the streets. But I am thinking about flying out to Miami for New Year's for that exact reason.
You'll probably be at the same party.
Sure, yeah. Probably won't even get carded there. My friend has a dog that I often end up getting conned into walking, and it's a big, like, full breed collie, and I could give a shit about it.
Which
but
is fine because she lives on a couple of acres.
Sure, yeah. God, that dog's got to be miserable. So you have to walk him like pretty much constantly, and she goes out of town a lot for work. So I was walking him, and I hate the problem with walking a full breed collie is. Well, let me rephrase that. The problem with walking a full breed collie around downtown Seattle when your iPod is either broken or ran out of battery is that you have to listen every other block to somebody going, "Hey, is that Lassie? Lassie!" Ha 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 ha. And most of them want a pet also. Is it a boy or a girl? Well, you just saw his dick when he pissed across the tree. So I hate it. I hate any encounter that prevents me from getting back to where I'm walking him from. I'm not a pet lover.
So you hate dogs.
I hate dogs, and I hate interaction with people. It's just another day. Like I'm back up on the building. Like I'm less than a block from getting indoors and not having to deal with this anymore. And then this scruffy-looking fellow. We already gave it away, but he had like a full
Let me
almost
guess. Luke Perry.
nailed it. He's like, "Hey, man, can I pet your dog?" And I didn't even look up because I was listening to whatever podcast, But I can see the motion and Timmy getting all excited. So, and then I look up because he asked, I don't remember. It was specific to dogs, though. Or maybe he just told me he really loves collies, and so I gave him the courtesy glance up. And then it was fucking Jason Biggs, and I knew it immediately. And, I could have said a million things in that moment. But instead, I'm just waiting for the moment to be over.
Yeah.
And he was smoking a cigarette, I should say. So I felt like I could have smoked a cigarette with him and had a conversation
And
about American wedding.
Right.
What were you thinking?
Right. And there's things you could have said. Most of it he would have heard a million times. Like, you're not going to... I'm just saying I understand where you're coming from. Like, it's not a hero of yours that you met. Like, had that been...
No, I haven't thought about him in probably several years.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, some people just go, "Oh, fuck the pie." Like, just say
That's
anything.
the line. Fuck the pie.
I know.
If I go buy a pie, will you fuck this pie?
Actually, you know what? That's what I wish you would have done. And that's what we got to do. Next time we run into anybody, like if I run into Kyle McLaughlin, I'm going to be like, "Hey, man, Desperate Housewives, lots of fucking, right?" Like, that's what we got. We got to make a complete ass out of ourselves.
Kyle McLaughlin, stay here. I'm going to buy you a piece of cherry pie. And I want you to tell me how damn good it is.
I go to that diner all the time. It's so overpriced. You guys shot a show there. Now $10 for a pie.
A lot of yelling. That's more yelling than we usually do. So you got to go to work soon. We'll squeeze in this last one, which is the only reason I brought up celebrities. This is my closest encounter. And I imagine people that listen to us have to know that Jordan Jesse Go is a popular and funny podcast. So Jordan Morris, one of the hosts of that show, announced a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be in Seattle and that he was going to have a podcast meetup, which I've heard about and even have friends that have had personal experience.
Which is like fans of a podcast meet up with one of the guys.
Right, just to hang out, usually at a bar, which it was in this case. But that's what made, I probably wouldn't have gone, honestly, except for it was at Shorty's. It was at the bar I'm at every night.
That's your jam.
Yeah, it's my jam. And Sam's jam.
Yeah.
Speaking of new nicknames for Sam. Oh, start calling him Sticks. He fucking hates it.
Sticks?
Quick aside. This is the funniest story ever. Sam and Kelly were at Shorty's not that long ago, and Kelly was going up the bar to order a drink, and there was a guy checking her out, supposedly. I wasn't there. And they were whispering to each other, but or talking lowly, but she could hear them. This guy talking to his buddy, and he's like, his friend was like, "You should go for it, man." And then the other guy that was going to go for it was like, "Nah, man, look at Sticks over there." I pointed at Sam. So now it's a thing. Like, we found this weird candy the other day at the store called Sticks, and we bought it for Sam and gave it to him.
Weird what? Candy?
Yeah, it was a candy called Sticks, and so we bought it for him. Here's Sticks. Here's some Sticks. And then, so I'm going to get some Pixie Sticks next. Start calling you. He really gets mad. More mad than when I call him Sperm Bitchman, which was the name that he got bullied with in middle school. Anyway, that's a quick Sam aside. Jordan Morris. Sam's a big fan too, and a frequenter of Shorty's, and so we knew that we were going to be there and that it was going to be fun. Although, of course, I got nervous. Like, it'd be one thing if Jordan Morris just showed up at Shorty's and we happened to recognize him, but like knowing he was there, so I show up a half hour late so I can get high first because, of course, that's going to make everything better. And I show up there, and Sam has a usual table at Shorty's that I meet him at when I get off of work. And sure enough, Sam's sitting there, as well as Jordan Morris. He's standing at his table, and there's like probably at that time 12 other people crowded around Sam's table. I later find out that's because Sam showed up before Jordan Morris and was like, hey, you should come sit here until other people show up. And then everybody ended up migrating over to that side of the table.
Wow, Sam is such a people person.
Yeah, and Sam saved me a seat, which was very sweet.
Yeah, incredible.
And then, so I'd been thinking for that half hour I was getting high while I should have been there. Like, Jordan Morris is already there. There's no avoiding that I'm going to have to talk to him. What am I going to say? Because I think he's really great on that podcast. And so I come up with my line, like, on the walk to the bar. The first thing I'm going to say to him, it's a slight variation on the, hey, man, I'm a huge fan. But it's the same sentiment. I said, hey, you're a huge deal to me. That's good, right?
Yeah.
And then he said, of course I am. That was his response. And then I sat down, and I start to take in, and Sam's just asking me casually about work because I didn't notice, but that was just this part of the crowd, and then slightly over was like another group the same size. So Jordan Morris is going back and forth between the two crowds because apparently that's your responsibility at a meetup.
Sure.
Being Jordan Morris. So Sam and I are just talking about work, and it's slowly starting to set in that this is not our crowd. And like, I really like that show, and Jordan Morris is super hilarious. Even conversations that I wasn't exactly a part of, but overhearing, he's as funny in real life and seemed to be enjoying himself, kind of. Yeah, like Sam and I go out for our first smoke, and we're the only ones that smoke. Apparently, people that are really into podcasts, if you smoke, you're disgusting, based on a few glances we got. But we went out and smoked and like just started to discuss. And this is nothing against them because I know we got shit last night when Kelly and Alvina were hanging out down here with us in the basement, and we were just talking about podcasts. Like, they continued to mock us for it. Like, it's a nerdy thing. And Sam and I alone at Shorty's every night, just hanging out the two of us, dissect podcasts that we listened to that day. So that's what most of these conversations ended up being, but everybody being 300 pounds more than me. And 90%.
So you're not going to listen.
90% dudes.
Yeah.
So that was weird. Like, it's just crazy how stereotypical. Oh, I haven't even mentioned the name tags yet. So I sit down. Jordan Morris, he says that thing to me, and then he's like, well, do you want to wear a name tag? And I was like, sure. Like, of course I'm on board. Not thinking anything of it. Like, that's how you know. And then, like, because we're all into the same thing, this is a way to make friends. Is like, hey, Mallory, you're here too. Which I didn't do any of.
It sounds super like Shorties. Like the Shorty scene that you guys know and love, right?
Shut up.
So you guys always do that.
Yeah, but I wore the name tag and had weird conversations with a few people. And then I started to notice that Sam's not wearing a name tag at all, and he's been there since the beginning. And so on our next cigarette break, I'm like, Sam, why aren't you wearing a name tag? And he's like, this is my bar, man. I'm not going to wear a name tag. I don't want to have to explain this. He's like, this is a nerdy thing. And sure enough, Richie, who's the bouncer most nights there and stands outside and cards people, because I'm wearing my name tag while we're outside smoking. And he's like, hey, man, I got to ask, what's with all the name tags? And then, Richie is a really sweet guy, but he's a dim bulb. And, we're like, oh, it's this podcast thing. Like, this guy hosts a pretty popular podcast, and he's like, so what is a podcast? And then we realize, oh, we got a whole other cigarette to smoke here. Yeah. And we spent that whole time trying to explain to him. I'm pretty sure he thinks he can get it through an Etch-a-Sketch. But, yeah, that's basically it. We bailed pretty early. It was pretty uncomfortable. But we wanted to try and personally engage him, I guess, slightly once more. And Sam and I were... The thing about that is if I had gone without a Sam, it would have been fucking miserable.
Yeah.
But as it was, like, at least when it was awkward, we could,
So did you say goodbye to the guy?
Yeah, we did. In fact, Sam and I had been talking about Blade Runner because I haven't seen it, but I promise I might see it by the end of this month.
Movie Hostage, ripoff from Kissing Contest.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the results on a podcast. But yeah, so we
it's like Kissing Contest, the home game.
So yeah, Sam has already gone up to say goodbye to the guy because I got suckered into some weird conversation. Oh, you work with special needs kids? I don't care. I admire it. My sister's retarded. Fucking shut up.
It's okay for me to say that. My sister's retarded.
To quote me, I love it.
Fight to the finish. Fight, 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 fight. It must have been. It must have been. It must have been a happy time. Time. It must have been. It must have been. It must have been a happy time. 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 Time.